So we're redesigning the Coraline nails today, and we're going to redesign them into like a geode galaxy type look, which should be, it's a really versatile base for a lot of looks, and it's perfect transitional look for this time of year. So great for November, you know, before you're entirely sure what you want to do with the Christmas nails. So grab a brew, take a seat, and let's get started. And if you are new here, please do make sure you hit the subscribe button as I'm releasing new content all the time. So I am starting off by debulking. Now I only leave one or two nails in because this is the same thing for every single nail. So I'm using a 2 extra coarse bit, and I am literally just removing as much of that as possible. I decided to leave that in, but that was my little man coming in to bark to let me know that he wanted to do something. I'm not sure. So yeah, that was Ralph. So yeah, this is a bit of lifting that I've got here. Now, what I'm doing is I'm very gently filing over the top of that so it all just literally like pops off. There may be another bit that I've left in a little bit. It wasn't too bad with lifting this set, to be fair. She's normally really good with her nails. It's just if there's been like, you know, a particularly violent dog walk or something, is when we'll have the issues. But on the whole, they usually last pretty well. So I am doing my usual prep. I go in with my powder, and then I am literally just very gently easing up that cuticle. So we want to lift up that cuticle so I can get a pocket to create a pocket, so the flame bit will go underneath it. So you'll see in a minute here, I'm just literally pushing it and lifting it up. I'm trying not to push it back. I don't want to fold that cuticle into the actual proximal fold. I want it to lift up so I've got that pocket. I will sometimes as well, as I'm going along, use my little brush that I've got on my finger just to kind of clear that out so I can see where I'm going. The talc has done its job now. It's dehydrated, so I can remove some of it if I need to. So then we get it's only a fine flame bit. We don't need anything aggressive. I'll just get in that pocket, go down the left-hand side in forward and down the right-hand side in reverse. And I'm just cleaning all of the non-living tissue off the nail plate and kind of lifting the cuticle up just a little bit more so I can get my scissors in and give it a really nice little trim. Then, as always, we go in with our Katie Barnes scissors. These ones are in black. They currently have a really, really good Black Friday sale on, so I would head over and stock up because I think like all the pushy tools are really good. You know, like the small cuticle tools, everything they've got is in a really, really good price right now. So I'd highly recommend going and checking them out. But yeah, so basically we're just removing as much as possible. We did take that plaster off eventually, but she'd cut herself underneath her finger, so I just wanted to make sure that we weren't kind of getting anything in it. But when we came to the application in a moment, we just had to take it off, unfortunately. Then using a 180 grit file, I'm literally just filing that in and just making sure that's nice and flush with the nail plate. I'm also etching the nail plate and just kind of taking off any excess product. To be honest, I probably didn't need to take this much off, but I was going in with another coloured acrylic over the top. So I wanted to make sure that it was kind of flat enough that I wasn't going to have bulky nails, which you'll see in a moment. I really don't. It looks fantastic. It's got the usual apex in and everything, and we've got like a base clear layer, and we've got the colour layer, and then we've got the apex with the clear, but it's not a lot of excess product. I was being super... I do realise this sometimes when I'm actually prepping. I'm like, you probably could have just stopped there, but I just can't help myself. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to do this little bit of extra shaping or whatever. So thankfully, I'm very lucky. Well, most of my clients, if not, well, all of my clients now are friends. So if the set takes a little bit longer, that's okay. So we are just blending that in now. I think in a moment here was a bit more lifting. So what we did was I filed it thinner on the top, and then I could see that there was a bit of white, and I think I just file over the top of that. I'm sure it's on this one. What I'm doing there is I'm just etching the nail plate, so I'm kind of going in different directions to make sure I've got some nice little etches on that nail plate. So it's not smooth from the file. That's the difference between buffing and etching. I want just little scratches. I don't want to take off a ton of nail surface or anything like that. Like here I'm on the acrylic, I'm not touching her natural nail plate at all. I thought there was lifting on that other one, maybe I've just imagined it. But yeah, so basically just smooth that out, slightly etch that nail plate, and you're ready to go. The brand I use is CJP, and they always recommend etching the nail plate for extra adhesion. Here we go. I knew we had a bit of lifting. So get your file where the safety bit is. I'm filing in front of the lift. I'm just constantly checking with my client to make sure it's not hot or anything like that. I'll file over the top of it and in front of it, but never behind it, because we don't want to move it further up the nail towards the free edge. So you'll see that just as it's hard to see, but you'll see it's just gradually as I'm filing, it's coming off. And because I'm constantly moving that file and checking with my client, it's not hot, it's not heating up. She's not feeling any heat there at all or discomfort. So you'll see there, I'm just kind of having a look at that, and then I think in a moment it all just pops off. There you go. You see it just comes off. And then we've got a lovely clean nail plate, and I will obviously make sure I etch under that with my hand file too. And I've left this in because I wanted to, this is just from debulking and doing some prep. So I wanted you to see that because I want to see why it's so important that you have a dust collector. And I'm currently using I think it's the Halmai filter papers for the top, and it's really saving my my filter. So I'm really, really loving that. And also I can chuck the dust away halfway through and I don't kind of have it floating around. So then once I've done all of that, I'm going to go in and prep that lovely fresh nail plate. I'm just making sure that I have cleaned everything off beforehand and given it a really good scrub. Then I go in with a dehydrator. Then I go in with a primer. Now the primer that I'm using is Young Nails Protein Bond, and I only really need that on the natural nail. I don't need that on the acrylic at all. Acrylic likes to still stick to acrylics. Acrylic, it just sometimes doesn't love sticking to nails if you don't prep them properly. So that's why we do the etching and that kind of thing. Then I go in with a clear base layer because obviously I'm using a navy and I don't want it to stain the nail plate. And also it's a really, really pigmented colour, so it's not going to adhere in the same way that clear will. Clear will always have the best adhesion. So I used to use it under every set. I don't bother so much now. If I'm just doing the same kind of nude infill for somebody and they like the colour. But yeah, I love my clear base layer. It makes such a difference. So you'll see here, I do have a glove on my right hand. I'm struggling with gloves at the minute just because of some sensations that I'm having in my hand from some chemo I had a while back. So that's why I haven't got a glove on my left hand, but I am trying to wear one where possible. And obviously I would probably recommend wearing them as much as possible, gloves. So I am just very, very gently blending that in. I don't want to kind of wipe it away. So when I place the bead in the first instance, I allow it to sit for a minute. So I've taken quite a bit of monomer out of the brush, then I'll pick up a small bead, so my brush will be on a very high angle going into the pot, and then I'm literally just placing that. I'll wipe the brush and then I will just literally blend that down. I don't always wipe the brush, but I tend to when I'm doing a base like this, because I don't want a lot of liquid. I don't want it running all over or flooding the cuticle, because that's what, again, when you will have lifting. So I will let you watch the rest of this and I'll come back in a moment when we apply the colour. So I like to apply acrylic similarly to how I apply gel polish. So I'll place a bead by the cuticle and then I'll tuck it in, make sure it's all nice and neat, and then very gently just float it down the nail. I'm trying not to apply too much pressure, but I'm not using, and I don't want it to be thick either because I want to be able to cap it in clear, and also I don't want to use a lot of my colour. This blue is Opium Noir by CJP, and it is so beautifully pigmented. So again, I think I wanted just a tiny little bit more by the end. You'll see there, I just literally place that on and then just blend it down, but it blends so beautifully. The brush I'm using as well, by the way, is the Gemma Porch from CJP, as was the clear. Everything that I was using in that initial set was CJP as well, apart from some of the glitters, I think. So yes, I will just apply this. I will let you watch this and I'll come back in a moment if there's anything else I want to add. But I will say just before I watch, I try and do as much work with my brush as possible. I want to make sure that's as thin as possible, and I'm using the side of the brush just to make sure it's nice and flush so there's not as much filing at the end. So in a moment I'm going to cap this in clear. I will hydrate the nail, because obviously the acrylic's dried now and it likes to be a little bit more kind of wet when you apply the acrylic on top of it. So then I will apply a bead on the top of that, I wouldn't say I'm working with a wet bead, but it's a well hydrated bead, shall we say. So I've probably left a bit more monomer in my brush, basically. But you'll see there, I'm just easing that down the nail. I don't want to flatten it out. I want to keep some shape in. And then I think I get to the point here where I'll just blend it down. And then I can always add a bit in at the tip. Remember, if you add where you need to. Don't worry if you don't get it all in one bead from the top. It really doesn't matter. I wanted to add a little bit more for the apex and to make sure it went down to the base, the tip rather. So I have literally just popped that on, and I am just gently using the belly of my brush just to press it. Understanding the different parts of your brush and what we'll do is so important. So I find that the using the belly of the brush is really helpful for like moving the product down when it's slightly thicker. So when you've placed that first bead on and you're using that brush to actually press it down the nail, whereas I'll use the tip if I want to be just a little bit lighter. So understanding your brush and how it works is absolutely vital. Now I think I went over to my Liz Guild brush here just because it's a fabulous brush. Again, it's amazing. It's slightly smaller than the Gemma Porch, and I didn't want to be picking up kind of whacking great big beads as you can, because the Gemma Porch is around about a 14 and this one I think from memory is around about a 10 to 12, probably erring more on a 12, so it's kind of a good size for salon length. I just find sometimes I can't pick up as big of a bead with it. So again, I will leave you to watch. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I love interacting people and I love to hear your thoughts. This particular design is like I say, it was at the beginning, it's like a geode galaxy. So I think it's really good base for any design work that you're wanting to do. You could do stars over the top of it, moons, snowflakes, all sorts. So, and you can use it in different colours as well. You could put some neons in there if you wanted to, just to create that more kind of galaxy effect. It really is. The world is your veritable oyster, as it were. So yes, I will leave you to watch. And if you have any questions, please do let me know. So I've left my filing routine in today. It's very simple, and try and do the same routine on every nail. So you want to do the free edge first, then go down the side of the nail, down the other side of the nail, and then bevel over the top. I think I'd already filed this free edge just before I started recording on the side walls rather. But I always do the free edge, side walls, and then I will sometimes go in afterwards and do the side walls again. But try and keep a similar routine for every single nail, and it'll make such a difference to the consistency of your shaping. I'd forgotten about this actually. I was trying to do a slightly different routine where you hand file first and then you go in with like a smoothing bit. I don't know how I feel about it just yet. I'm going to keep trying it because I saw another nail tech doing it and it was really lovely and smooth afterwards. But I find sometimes when I'm using the file at this stage, I don't get it as smooth because I don't know whether I need the file a bit faster. I think I need to do a kind of few bits of experimentation. And also I have to say I did find that doing things like this, like smoothing out the edge, going underneath, it was easier to do it this way around. But I think I might go back to the other way around the next time, if that makes sense. Yeah, so this way I think I'm doing it the original way. So what I do is I will debulk first using the file and the e-file rather, and it's a really fine bit this. I don't want to take too much off at all. The nail's in a good shape as it is. I'm literally just refining. So I'll take that off and then I will go in with my hand file and then I'll go in with a buffer at the end. When you're working with darker colours, it does help if it's super smooth. Because it means that the gel has something, you can't see any scratches underneath it because scratches tend to show up quite a lot in a darker acrylic. So once we've done all of the filing, we give it a really, really good cleanse. My client actually went away and washed her hands as well. And basically we go in. Now what I'd done here was, for the white, I'd mixed a little bit of white with a little bit of base coat. So I am literally just swooshing that is the technical term, as I always say, across, kind of diagonally down the nail. So I then layer the colour up. You can do this any way you want. I really like this. I saw somebody else do this. I can't remember who now. But it was basically, you know, like in a Galaxy or a Geode, there's normally like a bit of kind of smoky white look, and that's what this created. I tried to make them all look a little bit different and kind of swirl them up again, because again, it's a natural occurring thing. Sometimes it's very easy when you're in nail tech to try and make sure everything's uniform and perfect, but it's really nice doing sets like this because you don't need to do that. And if it's thinner, I think I probably would have made it a little bit more transparent the next time, but it was the first time I'd mixed this particular gel paint, so it was a little bit probably whiter, which is why you'll see me kind of pulling it down a little bit more. And then I think I go in and I mix in the other colours. I'll let you watch this, but I do, when I come back to this to do the cat eye in a little bit, I will explain what I'm doing there. I should add as well that I am curing as I go along, because obviously I don't want any uncured product. I think the first two layers I didn't, and this one I think I didn't, but the majority of them are kind of cured as I'm working. So every time my hand's kind of moved away from it is going in the lamp for the full cure. And here we have the pièce de résistance. So we're going in with a cat eye. This particular one is from Pro Impressions. I think it's called Cosmic Girl. It's like so appropriate for this set, I can't even tell you. So I'll place it where I want it. I did it on all nails. Normally when I'm doing a cat eye, I do one nail at a time. So this is probably slightly different if you've seen me do a cat eye before. But because it was such a thin bit of cat eye and I kind of wanted to kind of make sure that we weren't there all night, bless her. Although it is the bestie and she is incredibly patient and we have a lot of fun designing nails together. I don't want to keep her there all night. So, and also we have to eat at some point. So I am literally just going in with my magnet, activating that magnet, having a bit of a fight with it because it didn't go where I wanted it to go, then moving it around the other side and boom, how pretty is that? And then again, same on that, just moving it around. I just wanted to see that shimmer on it. That's whenever you see her hands lifting up, she's appreciating what she's seeing. So yeah, I think I've left it on this one as well because I really enjoyed doing it. So yes, once that's all done and fully cured, like I say, we've cured that all the way through. That's all really, really well cured. Then we're going with the top coat, and we're pretty much done. We only did it on the middle three fingers. We just wanted something kind of transitional, a little bit different for this time of year. And I think the next set's probably going to be very Christmassy. So I am top coating with my gorgeous top coat from Jellifique. It's the Diamond Shine one, I want to say. So I am, see that pigment in that navy is so dark it looks almost black on here, but I can assure you it is navy, and it's even got a bit of shimmer on it. I've tried lightening it, but it's such a beautiful pigmented colour, it's hard to see it. So once I've done all of that and I've top coated, I will sometimes go over at the end with my gloved hand and just wipe these sides off. I'll only do this at the end because obviously I don't want anything seeping through the gloves, and gloves aren't impervious to everything. But I just find it the best way to do it. And it means that you get a crisper edge. Occasionally I'll file at the end, but sometimes I feel it's not necessary and I don't want to get dust on my just freshly done beautiful nails. So I will leave you to watch the final result in a moment. I do hope you've enjoyed this. As I said before, any questions, please let me know in the comments. And if there's anything else you want to see, I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a wonderful day now. Bye.